Having toyed around with our electrical system for the past few weeks, we have established that our van battery is 5 years old, pretty flat, and in desperate need of replacing.
So we've been noticing over the last couple of months that our van's been struggling to start. We thought it might be something to do with the glow plugs, so we opened up the battery and we checked the voltage, and as you can see, the voltage is very, very low. This should be about 12.6, and it's not. Also, another reason why it's really important is because since we're going to be connecting leisure batteries to it, we're going to have a DC to DC charger, we're going to be putting a lot of strain on the van battery itself, so it's probably a good idea to change it and get a nice fresh new one in there in preparation for our entire van build and electrical system. So let's get to it.
So it did take us ages to find out where our battery is, and suddenly one day we noticed this. So it turns out that it's underneath the floor. So
the first step is to undo these 3 bolts here to get this first panel off. So these 3 bolts are a T20 Torx head, and we've linked our toolkit in the description if you did want to go and pick it up. So once you've got that cover off, the next thing you need to do is push down to 90 degrees. That will pop up and that will pull out. And then you need to remove this floor, and that should just come out without any bolts, like so. And you also want to remove this polystyrene thing. That should just slide out here at the front, like that. So the battery is actually living under this metal plate, and it's held in by these 4 T30 Torx screw bolts. And then once the bolts are removed, there is the battery. So just remove the positive protection cap, and we're just going to measure the voltage of the battery because we're curious still. By the way, getting one of these voltmeters for your van conversion or just van maintenance in general is a really good idea. They're very cheap, and they just basically allow you to diagnose things very quickly without any specialist equipment. So this battery should be at 12.6-ish volts, and as you can see, it's at 12.1. Now, we know it's not our alternator that's not working, otherwise the battery would have gone very flat and not worked at all. So it is the battery that is at fault here. Now, it's very important when you remove any battery, especially a battery from your vehicle, is that you remove the negative terminal first. You don't want to remove the positive. If you remove the positive, you can short circuit something in your van. You can also give yourself an electric shock, and it's just generally not a good idea. It's good practice always to remove the negative terminal first, and that way you safely disconnect the electrics from your battery. So in order to remove the negative terminal, there's this bolt here on the end that's clamping this clamp down onto the negative terminal there in the middle. So you want to loosen this bolt here, and then this whole thing will come off. So it needs a 10mm socket. Just move the wires out the way. It just about reaches, and then just need to loosen it. Now this bolt can be pretty tightly secured on, so it may take a bit of wiggling to get it out. So just get it nice and loose, and then just essentially just give it a really good wiggle. And there you go. That's the negative disconnected, so we'll just put that over to the side. So the positive terminal also has one of those bolt connections that you just loosen to loosen this on the actual positive terminal. However, as you can see, it's got extra things bolted on. It's best to remove these in order to make your job easier in removing the terminal. That's that disconnected. So that can be disconnected and just moved out the way. This, I think, is some sort of internal fuse box or something. So we'll just pop that out of the way there, move that out of the way next to it. Once we've got these 2 off, we can just undo this. Undo that, give it a wiggle, off it comes. Now there are 2 more bolts holding this battery down to the actual plate, and they are right down there on the side of the negative terminal of the battery. So you need a very long extension all the way down onto that bolt. This is a 10mm bolt. There's one on either side of this handle. So once that's locked on, you can put your ratchet in and go ahead and undo bolt. And then in order to remove that bolt once it's loosened, it's probably best to get yourself a magnet. Put the magnet down and lift the bolt out like so. It's a very long bolt. And we get the second bolt out, and now our battery should be able to come out. Now when lifting a battery like this, be warned it's very heavy. It's 26 kilos, so you want to lift it straight up and straight out the van. You don't want to be wiggling it around because it's just going to damage either the battery, which will leak stuff everywhere, or the case that it's in. So you've got two handles. Straight up like that, and then straight out the van. There we go. So this here is our new battery for the van. Now how we found our new battery is plenty of places online will let you type in your number plate and it will come up with a list of batteries that should fit your van. Now in our case, it turns out that the batteries that were coming up were smaller than our original van battery. So we rang the company that we bought it from, we gave them our make and model, and they gave us the right sort of battery. The other thing that you should also check before you buy your battery is look at the amp hours and also look at the measurements of the battery, so the length, the width and the depth, and make sure it's very compatible with the battery that's already in the van, because if it's a vastly different size, it won't fit in that box and the cables might not reach. If your VW Crafter has a start-stop system, you need to make sure that the battery that you get is compatible with that. Usually they say in either the description or in the title that it's compatible with start-stop technology, because if you don't, then the battery will just wear out quicker. So make sure you get a start-stop AGM battery. Now that you've got your battery out, before you put the new one in, you just want to check the box, make sure there's no major rust in this box, because you don't want your battery falling out your van. In our case, perfectly fine, which is nice. All right, let's install the new battery. Just pop that down there. So how we'll install it is the reverse way of how we disconnected it. So we put the positive terminal on first, and we'll connect all this side up, and then we'll do the negative after. Put that one down. Well, that's the van reconnecting. When tightening these down, you don't want to over tighten them. You just want to get it tight enough so it's not going to fall off, but not too tight so you're going to damage the terminal. So you tighten it until it's pretty much too hard to tighten by hand, and that's probably tight enough. Okay, we'll just check the voltage of this battery now. There we are, it's at 12.9, which is fully charged and perfect. Now we should start the van to make sure that the battery actually works. That's the ignition. Voltage drops a little, that's fine. Start her up. There we go. Voltage 12.4 and going up ever so slowly. Look at that, 4.4. Turn the lights on. Alright, that's with the lights on, so the voltage drops a little bit, but it's not dropping below 12. I would call that a success. Lights off. And turn the engine off. So the voltage equalizes out 12.7. Wonderful. Then the final thing to do once your new battery is installed is recycle your old battery. Now, because these have lead in, you can't just throw them in the bin. You have to take them to a recycling centre or some garages, but all of them will take old batteries and they'll be gone off, recycled and made into new ones, which is the great thing about lead acid batteries. Or in our case, if you wanted to keep it around a little longer if it's not completely dead, you can use it as a tester battery for some 12-volt appliances. That's what we're going to do with this one until we don't need it anymore, and then it will go off for recycling. And on that note, we really want to thank our Patreons for supporting our content and allowing us to produce videos like this to help you out with your van build, van conversion and van maintenance. If you did want to sign up and be a Patreon, be a part of our exclusive van life community and get other perks, then the link is down below in the description. Subscribe for more videos like this, and we'll see you next time, guys.